Hello everyone, Andrew here, and for the first real video back, I thought it would be good to do a pickup video because, I mean, it's been like 2 months since I did all the re-uploading, so I've actually found quite a lot of things since then. I mean, I know I did that one from when I went to the swap meet, but that didn't really include any of the other things that I had found from going to thrift stores and things like that, and even deals like in local listings. So I thought it would be fun to go over some of the most interesting things that I have found since I started all of this re-uploading. So it's obviously not going to go over every single thing I've found, because that would take hours and hours and hours. Plus, I mean, sometimes like I put away games and stuff like that, so it's hard to really pick out the ones. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this one 2 months ago, 1 month ago, a year ago. So I mean, I've put away a lot of the games. So a lot of the things that you're going to see here are mostly accessories and consoles and like other really neat things. Like there will be a few games, but not too many. Although if I ever do get more games, I'll definitely be making pickup videos about them. Because like I said, it was 2 months, so I couldn't just like stack up all the games I was getting, or else there'd be a massive mess. But anyway, with that said, let's jump into some of the cool things that I have picked up. Now, the funny thing is I say there's not going to be many games, but the first thing we're going to look at is actually games. These aren't just your ordinary games. These are sealed NES games. You can see on the camera, it's that really glossiness on the front there. I'm pretty sure that it's original sealed. I mean, it's in pretty much perfect condition. I mean, the box is perfect inside of the seal, and if you look on the back, you even have that line that kind of goes across, where you can tell like the seal was connected. And I have other Nintendo games that I'm also pretty sure are like original, like in their original seal for like Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 that also have that line across the back. So I mean, I guess it could have been a similar machine, but I don't have any reason to believe that this isn't the original seal. Because I mean, everything is just in such nice shape. And it looks really good, so that's just one of the games that I got that was sealed. The next one, Dragon Warrior for the NES. Again, pretty much sealed exactly the same as the other one. I mean, the seal's good quality too. I mean, it doesn't look like it went through like you know, like someone's machine in their basement. It looks quite good. So I'm pretty sure that one's in its original seal. Next two have handles on the top, which seems like another confirmation that it is original. Athletic World, one of the Power Pad games. Again, on the back has that line across it, and that hook like I was saying. Next up, we have Rampart for the NES, and it says that at some point this originally cost $54.99. Pretty expensive, although I guess it was new back then, and that's what we pretty much pay for new games now, so it makes sense. And next, 720. Again, that line across the back. So I mean, the seal is really consistent, so that's why I'm pretty much 99% sure it's original. And the last one, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This one is a little bit crushed inside the seal. There's a few places it probably won't even show up on camera. You can kind of see that corner's a little bit crushed, but still very nice. And it's sealed, so it's very cool. So yeah, those are some of the only games that you'll see in this video. But I just thought they had to be shown, because I've never come across sealed NES games before, and I thought it was really neat, and I definitely had to pick them up. Those have also found a home in my shelf back there. It might not show up on video too well, but there is now an empty space right there in my World of Nintendo shelf. I mean, I couldn't just put them with the rest of my NES games because they're sealed, so figured I would make a nice space in there, and yeah, they fit pretty well. So, I mean, I don't know if it was really that noticeable, but that is what that empty space is for. So yeah, like I said, that's going to be just about it for like cartridge games. But another kind of game that I got is a Game & Watch, and this one is Greenhouse. Now, I believe this one was actually featured on Game & Watch Gallery 3 for the Game Boy, because I have a lot of memories of playing it on that, trying to get the high score. And it is one of those ones that flips up and has dual screens. And it is in very nice shape with all the buttons there. The front, it's hardly scratched up at all. I mean, there's like one scratch, and it's not even showing up on the camera because it's so light. And then the back has the battery cover, which is very important, because if you don't have the battery cover, you cannot play the game, because the batteries will just pop out. That's one common problem that you usually find when you come across Game & Watch, is that the battery cover has usually been misplaced. So I was very happy to see that that is completely intact. The next thing I want to show is pretty interesting. I've seen this box before, although I never picked it up. I actually don't think it was for sale when I saw it, but I had a chance to grab it. And I did, and that is the Power Pad complete in the box. I have the NES set, which was called, what's it called? I believe it was the Power Set, which came with an NES, the Zapper, and the Power Pad, and it came with the Mario Duck Hunt and World Class Track Meet cartridge. But this is the box that you could get, like, if you already had the console and you wanted the pad separately. And it says on top that it originally cost, it probably won't show up on camera, but we can try anyway. Yeah, it's not going to show up unless I go and focus in. I'm not going to do that, but anyway, it says that it costs $79.99 back when it was new. I mean, that seems like a lot considering the Power Pad wasn't super great. But, I mean, I guess it's similar to something like the Kinect, where, I mean, it's just an add-on to an already existing console. I mean, what's the Kinect, like $100 with a game? So yeah, this is pretty much the exact same thing, but back in the 80s. You'd buy your Power Pad and it would come with a free game. The game was not in the box when I got it, and I knew that when I bought it, so it's not like I was expecting it to be in there. But I did have an extra one to put in. And here's what the back looks like. I love this picture on the back. I mean, everyone looks super excited, especially that kid on the ground. He's like, whoa! And I love how the picture frames on the wall and that one on the shelf in the top right. I mean, I love how they have no picture on them. It's like, why even bother having the frames up if they're just going to be blank? And again, I didn't really mention it, but the kids on the front. It's very hard to see exactly what I'm showing. Because, I mean, when I hold it up, it kind of covers my view of the camera. But, I mean, the kids on the front are very excited. And, I mean, those who have used the Power Pad know it's not that exciting. And it reminds me a lot of the kids on the front of the CDI rollerball controller. I mean, just compare them. Probably the same kids, just a different age or something like that. I just thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, so this is all in here. People might have been able to notice it's kind of bumping up a bit, but that's just because, I mean, once you take the Power Pad out and you stretch it out, it's very hard to get back in and like push it down. So unfortunately, it is pushing up on the box a bit. So I'm going to have to see what I can do about that. Also, yeah, that just brings up one point. One thing I wanted to mention: if you look in the picture, maybe I will focus for this, so I really want people to see this. If you look at the Power Pad on the ground. Anyone who owns a Power Pad will know it's like this puffy thing, and it's really hard to fold and stuff like that, but it looks like he's just standing on a piece of cardboard, and you really can't see it because of the video quality, but the cord isn't even connected to like the inside of the power pad. It's like coming from underneath. So I mean, it's a really weird picture overall, but I mean, it's just one of those things that Nintendo did. When they were just trying to make their packaging, they didn't really care if it was authentic, so as long as it looked good. Kind of like when you go to a fast food restaurant and they have the pictures of the food up on the thing, although you know it's just like something that's been edited and stuff like that just to make it look really good. So yeah, Nintendo's version of that. The next thing I want to show is something really weird, and that is a TV tuner for the Game Boy Advance. Now this thing is super fake. It's not official at all. It's covered in typos and stuff like that, although it's still an interesting piece nonetheless. Now I'm going to open this up so we can have a look. So inside the first box, we have another white box. So I mean, yeah, pretty much the first box was completely useless. That was just for numbers and stuff like that, although everything is actually inside this white box here. So if we open this up, we get a plastic tray, which we can pull out and we will see what is inside. So let me grab that. Yeah, so inside we have some instructions, and of course there's the Chinese ones, and underneath we have the English translation. So let's read how we're supposed to use this thing. Note: insert GBA game cartridge into TV tuner before power on. Then screen will come up. If blue screen shows no battery icon, there would be power failure or battery bad contact, or insert batteries in reverse polarity. So there you go, that is how you use your TV tuner. And so yeah, basically, we have this right here, and you can pretty much see the picture of what it's going to look like on the front. But here is the main thing, and also in there, we have our power cord, and also a base thing it looks like, so you can kind of set it on the table and watch it as if it were like a really small TV. Anyway, let's have a look at this thing here. And yes, here is our TV tuner, and the antenna's there. And let's see if I can connect this. It also has this piece right here, I guess, so that when you push that in, it kind of makes it so that it doesn't fall out the bottom. And there you go. Now you can watch TV on your Game Boy Advance. And I don't really understand this, unless there's something I'm missing, but the antenna comes out the bottom? Like, I'm kind of confused by that, because the front, I'm trying to get this on here, it shows it going straight up. Although, when you pull it out, it's clearly going down, and I'm pretty sure I don't have it in the wrong way. I don't think there's any other way to put this thing in. And I mean, if I really have to force it if I want it to go upwards, so I don't think that's what I want to do. I think it's actually going to kind of break it. So I mean, I guess for now, the antenna is going down. But unfortunately, this isn't really super useful because in Canada, I don't know about in other places, but they cut off the wireless TV signals that you used to be able to pick up with antennas like this. Like I also have the TV tuner for the Turbo Express. And it was really good because I actually used it once when the power went out and I was watching a TV show. So I was able to just pick up that, and I had to go search the house for like 6 AA batteries. But I mean, by the time I got it working, I was actually able to watch the show until the power came back on. So it was pretty useful. Although it's too bad that they kind of cut off communications like that. Now, I'm actually not supposed to put the Game Boy Advance back into the box. So I'll just take that off. Don't drop it. There we go. I'm not going to put that away on video. We can do that a little bit later. So that, as well as this right here, the Game Boy Advance movie player. Now let me do this a little bit. Game Boy Advance movie player. This and the TV tuner were actually given to me by a friend, and I kind of messed this thing up here, so let's fix that. I should also note that I believe in the slot right here, you just need to put a Game Boy Advance game in it to make it work. So I believe it's kind of like to bypass the piracy protection or something like that. I don't think if you put it in, it will allow you to play it instead. I believe it's the same situation with this. This Game Boy Advance movie player, basically, you have your removable memory card right here, and you can put video files on it, and then watch it on your Game Boy Advance. Let's see, which way does this go in? There we go. Just like that. So that's pretty neat. I don't even know how I plugged this memory card into my computer. This thing is ancient. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it's just pretty much a flash card there. So yeah, basically, you can just load up your video files on that, and then you can watch them on your Game Boy Advance wherever you go. I don't know how much video you'll be able to get on 256 megabytes, but it's still a very interesting piece nonetheless. So I really appreciate my friends giving me this and the TV tuner because they are very neat, and I'm very happy to be able to add them to my collection. Okay, that's a lot of talking. Let's see. Next thing I'll go to, we've already gone into the fake Chinese stuff. We might as well finish off what I have of that. Some people will know that I kind of like collecting fake consoles. I should have grabbed the other one before I started recording. Like, I did a video once on all of my fake consoles, and I pointed and I showed the PlayStation 1, which looks like a PlayStation 1, although when you open it up you realize it actually plays Famicom games, and Famicom is the Japanese version of the NES. So I showed the PlayStation 1 in that, although since then I came across the Poly 2. I don't know why they had to like remake it. Like, I guess every time a new Sony console came out, I guess just to try and trick people into thinking it actually was a PlayStation. But anyway, when we open it up we find out it has a Famicom slot, so you can play all of your favorite Nintendo Famicom games on your fake PlayStation 2. Now, let's see if I can get it in here. There we go. Just like that. So, I mean, you can't even close the, close the lid while you're playing it. And it also came with a very, very cheap controller that you can use with it. But yeah, overall, just thought it'd be interesting to point out that I've added this to my collection. It's very hard to get it out there, because, I mean, you can't just pull straight up, or else you're going to take the lid off with it. And it also came with the power and AV cables, but I mean, how exciting would it be if I showed them? Just your typical power and AV. Anyway, let's see, moving on to a real console this time, and it is very heavy. I am going to show the clear white Xbox. Now, interesting thing about this is I have seen this a few places before at thrift stores, although they're usually charging like 40 bucks for it, with cables and stuff like that. But when it comes to Xbox, I've come across quite a few broken ones, like where the disc tray won't come out, or they've had other problems, so I'm really reluctant to pay $40 for an Xbox. Although, luckily for this one, I found it for $10, without anything, so I figured $10, like it didn't have any, like the controller or any cables with it, but for $10 I figured it was worth taking a shot. So I picked it up, brought it home, and it luckily worked absolutely perfectly, and I already had a clear controller to go with it that I had bought separately quite a while ago. So yeah, now I have a complete white Xbox, and I also have the green and blue and the original one. So I believe that's all of the different variations except for the Mountain Dew one. I actually don't know if there was a red one or not, but if there is, I've never seen it anywhere. But anyway, I was very happy I'd be able to add this to my collection, because it's always good when you take a chance at something and you don't know if it's going to work or not, and it ends up working. So I was very glad that happened. Let's see, what can I show next? Right here, we have some books, and people will know I like Nintendo Power and strategy guides and stuff like that. So I found this really cool Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Pokedex book. And it was only a few dollars, and it is a massive book. I mean, how many pages does it actually come to in the end? It's 450 pages long. It's like 453 or something. 456. But still, it is a huge book, and I really, really like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. So I thought that it would be interesting to pick it up. This is probably one of my favorite generations. Either this or the second generation of Pokemon. I mean, the first one was really good too. I really like them all. I don't really have anything against Pokemon. Although I never really got too into Black and White. And the other books I showed were some Nintendo Power. And I just did a video on Nintendo Power not too long ago. And here are 4 new ones that I have added to my collection. So volume 193. This one's about Pokemon. Volume 209. So those are 2 newer ones. And then I got these ones. Volume 110. And volume 108. So I believe that takes me up to, I think it's 194 different issues now. And I think there's like just under 300 or something by the time that production ends at the end of this year, which is quite sad. The majority of the ones I am missing are actually newer ones. I have quite a good collection of old Nintendo Power. And I had a subscription in kind of the middle years, although I think like 5 or 6 years ago now. I canceled my subscription, so that's kind of the big chunk right there that I've missed, because I haven't really been buying Nintendo Power too much, unless there's like something I really, really want to read, or it comes with something special in it. And I believe one last thing that I have to show, which I thought was kind of neat, and I guess I lied, there actually is one more game I have to show. But that is the Sesame Street controller for the Atari 2600. Now the way this works is basically plugs into your Atari 2600, and it's used with a variety of Sesame Street games. So as you can see, this is what the controller looks like. It has a whole bunch of different numbers on it there, and each game came with kind of a cover. I can go over it, so it tells you what to do. So I found this, and it actually came with the matching game. So I was very happy about that, and I'd seen this controller a few places before, although I didn't grab it for whatever reason. I don't even think it came with the game, so I was very happy to find those two things together. And let me see. I believe that's it. I actually thought that would have taken a lot longer, considering there was actually quite a few things to show, like the NES games, Power Pad, TV Tuner didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to show. But yeah, now that's all I've got for this video. Those are some of the more interesting things that I have found in the last 2 months, not including the things that I found at the swap meet that I went to not too long ago. So if you really weren't paying attention to my videos while I was re-uploading, you can still check that one out. There'll be an annotation to it somewhere. And I picked up quite a few cool things in that video too. So yeah, I'm definitely going to do another pickup video soon with more games and stuff like it. More games and stuff like that in it. Although I really hope that you enjoyed seeing some of the crazy consoles that I got, and also accessories, as well as sealed NES games, which I still can't believe I found. Like it's weird. I actually have quite a few sealed Super Nintendo games because of one time when I went on vacation and just hit the jackpot. Although I've never actually seen a sealed NES game before, so I was quite excited when I came across those. But yeah, I believe that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks, and see you then.